Hello, welcome. And it is before Rosh Hashanah. My name is Benzion Klatzko, and I'm not afraid of the Persians. Just want to say that. I enjoy my Persian food, and I mentioned a lot of family from Shiraz. So, and in our house on Dayenu, we do that also. So that's that. The truth of the matter is, it's always a zchut to speak to a Svardish crowd. Is it going? Yeah, we're good? Okay. It's always a zchut because there was a concept when the Shas party came out, Shas in Israel. So the original tagline for Shas was La'achzir atara liyoshna, which means to return the crown to its glory. And people ask, why are the differences between Ashkenaz and Sfarad? Like, where did that come from? Isn't that an interesting question? Where did that come from? And we all started off together the same by Har Sinai. It developed because each group of Jews had to offset the influence of the non-Jews around them. So the Ashkenazim had to offset Christianity. So their minhagim were built to fight Christians. And the Sephardim, in general, were in the Muslim countries, so their minhagim were built to fight Islam. However, today, it's times of Mashiach, and we know at the times of Mashiach, the very last battle is not going to be with Esav, but it's going to be with Ishmael. That's the last battle, Ishmael. And therefore, who's the most fit to fight Ishmael? Those who built their Yiddishkeit to fight Ishmael. So that's the Hachshat al Yoshna. You have to go and be the leaders and the warriors. So I have this desire to connect to Gedolim. And in the Svardish world, we just got something recently very precious in my home. The Baba Sali. So the Baba Sali was a Jalbaya, the hood that he used to wear. So I got the Baba Sali Jalbaya at home, with the hood that he used to wear, and I got it for our family, and I went to a yeshiva, a Svardish yeshiva that my brother's Rosh Yeshiva, and I told him, here's what we're going to do. You'll offer any of the Bachurim who, whatever you want, he's the head of the yeshiva, they finish a Masechta, they finish a Perek, the reward's going to be, they can come to my house, we'll take a little l'chaim for Shefa, and they'll put on the jibla, and we'll take a picture of them. So, right? Wow. I myself haven't put it on, I'm scared. Like my bones are going to burn, scary stuff. Anyways, so for those of you who are watching, this is going to be on Torah anytime. So we are in the middle of Chodesh Elul, and Chodesh Elul is the month where we prepare. I just ran a trip to Eretz Yisrael, and one of these Israel trips for Kiruv, and on our trip we teach the months of the year, because if you don't know the months of the Jewish year, believe it or not, you're at a great handicap, because in the non-Jewish year, we speak about October, November, Thanksgiving, December, the New Year's and so on. If you live in a Christian country like we do in America, so you see the stores and they have lights, they have music. But we, as Jewish people, we have a totally different wave of the year. And the wave of our year is Jewish, and it feels different. So if you grow up in America, then you know what Labor Day is, and you know what Mother's Day is, and you know what, but what does it mean, the month of Nisan? What does it mean, the month of Adar? The joy, the unbridled joy. What does it mean, the month of Elul? So I teach my students the names of the month, and I do it in a song. These are not religious kids, and they learn it. Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Av, Elul. And I make them sing it a few times until they know the months by heart. And then I say, okay, let's see what happens in each month. So I got up to the month of Elul, And they said, Rabbi, what happens in Elul? So how do you explain what happens in Elul? There's no holiday in Elul. And yet, Elul is one big holiday. What does it mean a holiday? It's not like groggers. It's not drinking. It's a holiday, means it's a special time when we do special things. And Elul is the time where we're swimming through Teshuvah. We are the Avira of Teshuvah. It's very different. When I was young, I went to Telz Yeshiva. And in Telz Yeshiva, to wake up the Bachrim in the morning, they would put on in my days it was a tape, a cassette tape. And probably it's an MP3 today. And they pipe it over the loudspeaker to wake people up. So instead of knocking on their doors, no, get up, shachars. Instead, they'd put on this music to wake everyone up. And in Elul, someone made a recording, and they used to play this recording, and it's taken from a non-Jewish song, but you probably have heard the song before. Did you ever hear the song, Celebrate Good Times, Come On? Very famous. So instead, they would sing, they'd play over the loudspeaker and tells the yeshiva, Elul's Tshuva time, come on. And we'd go out to the halls, we'd dance in our pajamas, Elul's Tshuva time, come on. Elul, Tshuva time. It felt different, it felt it. So I tried to explain to them that's what Elul is. So what I want to do today, something I've never done before in any of my talks, I thought it would be interesting, and it's the following. In the olden days, there used to be a position in the Jewish community called a Magid. I don't mean the Haggadah Magid, right? That's when you say Manishtana. But there was a man called a Magid. What was a Magid? We don't really have a Magid today. A Magid was somebody who was paid money to go from town to town, encouraging people and inspiring them to mend their ways, to rectify their ways. That's what a Maggid did. So the Vilna Gaon, who was the great genius of the generation and many generations before, even though he knew everything, he had a Maggid named Rabbi Yaakov, known as the Dubner Maggid, and that Maggid would give him Musar. Today, or when I was young, the last of the Maggidim passed away. What were their names? Their names were Rabbi Shalom Shadran and Rabbi Yaakov Galinsky. Those were the last people who walked around, and they were known as Maggidim. They were brought in by yeshivot just to inspire people. However, something very unique happened. A man by the name of Rabbi Pesach Krohn wrote a book, and the name of the book was called The Maggid Speaks. Did you ever hear of The Maggid Speaks? And the very first Maggid Speaks book, he told stories over of Rav Shalom Shadran, and he would say, this is what the Maggid used to say. But then he came out with another Maggid book, and then another one. Soon Rabbi Krohn was going around speaking. And guess what happened? He sort of became a Maggid. So actually, Maggidim still do exist today. There are people who go to inspire communities. Charlie Harari is probably an old-fashioned Maggid. That's really what he is. Right today, they're inspirational speakers. The old Maggidim, by the way, didn't have YouTube. But still, they found a way to get their message out there. So, the Maggid, in general, had a very clever way of inspiring people. And they would do it through a mashal. What's a mashal? We all know it's a story to help us understand the concept. Sometimes, if you tell a person, you are wicked, you are wrong, right? So your davening is a joke, so I can't even hear that, it hurts. So instead you say, there was once a man, and he went in front of a king, and this king was like, oh, that's me. I'm the king. King is Hashem, and I'm the man, and it's like a spoonful of sugar. Helps the medicine good, all right? It just allows us to accept words of tochacha. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to make a talk that would be completely out of Mashalim. Now, I thought it'd be interesting. Number one, it's story time, so who doesn't like that? But it's the stories that allow us to understand ideas. And I'm going to start it with a fascinating story that involves the Dubner Maggid himself and is connected to Slichot. This is not a well-known story, but it's a fascinating story, and it has a few parts to it. Now, if you lived at the times of the Dubner Maggid, you're talking about the 1700s, so everyone heard of the Dubner Maggid, the Dubner Maggid. But the thing is, today, if someone is famous, so we have pictures, we share pictures of them, you can send online, you can send it on WhatsApp. In the olden days, it was very possible to hear the name of somebody, but have no idea what they looked like. So, for example, the Dubner Maggid was very famous. He was somebody who went around and he inspired people. But unless he came to your town, you didn't know what he looked like. So you know what ended up happening? You know what happened? There were imposters who pretended that they were the Dubner Maggid. It really happened. They would go around. They would say, I'm the Dubner Maggid. Oh, you're the Dubner Maggid. Come speak. And they would get up and they would speak and they would speak. And so at any given time in Europe, there were 5 Dubner Maggids speaking in different shuls. And no one really knew whether you were listening to the real Dubner Maggid. So it happened more than once that the Dubner Maggid ended up in a shul, not to speak. He just happened to be in shul when a Dubner Maggid came to speak. And it was the most bizarre thing. And the Rav would say, we'd now like to ask the Dubner Maggid to speak. And Dubner Maggid, I wasn't planning. And then this guy would get up and everyone would stand up. Dubner Maggid. And the poor Dubner Maggid was watching. So I'm going to tell you a story before the story, just a very funny story. It happened once, Dubner Maggid was sitting there and someone else got up to speak. And he's speaking and he is saying some of the Dubner Maggid stories. So he didn't just pretend he was a Dubner Maggid, but he plagiarized the material. The comedian takes he did the same thing. He took the mashal, except that as he was trying to say the nimshal, right, when he got to the punchline, he messed it up. And then he messed up a story. So it started off good and then it got worse and worse. So finally, the Dubner Maggid, before he's sitting there, he's listening to his Torah being like roasted. He can't take it anymore. So he stands up and he says, I can't take this anymore. They says, who are you? Sit down. Dubner Maggid speaking. He says, do me a favor, please. I need to share with you a mashal. It's like, who is this guy? Why does he want to share? He says, just listen. He said there was a poor man who was once invited to a wedding. It was a very fancy wedding, and it was the food was going to be amazing. This guy was so poor. He said, wow, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to be able to eat so well. And he decided he's going to fast that day. He's not going to eat anything, so that at the wedding, he'll be able to eat a lot. Well, he's waiting and waiting, and the chuppah, it was a Persian wedding, so it's supposed to be at 4, 6:30 rolls around, they're still eating the crunchy rice, right? They're not getting to the food. Where's the food? And this poor guy, he's starving. He's starving. He can't wait. So finally, he ran home quickly. He got some of his old herring. He had some herring, and he just eats it because he's hungry. It's like the poor man's herring. Then he comes back, and then what do you know? He comes back, the chuppah, and then right away they put out a big spread, and he looks at all this food, and he just ate the herring, but now he's hungry. So he begins to eat more and more and more and more, and he eats the chicken, he eats the meat, then he eats the fancy fish, and then he eats too much. And he eats, and suddenly he's, I'm feeling sick, and people say, he's feeling sick, the man's feeling sick, he's going to throw up. And then in front of the father of the Khatan, right there, right in the hall, he vomits on the dance floor. And out comes the meat. Then out comes the chicken. Out comes all the fancy food. And then at the end, out comes the herring. Out comes the herring. So The father of the Khatan said, I don't understand it. The meat, I know where you got that from. The chicken, I know it. But I didn't serve this herring. Where did this come from? Says Dubner Magid. Okay, I'm listening at the beginning. You're saying good Torah, it's interesting, it's coming up. But then all of a sudden, I'm smelling herring. It's not so, it's such a good smell. What are you doing? So that's the life of the Dubner Magid. So this is a second story, more complex, a wonderful story that is involved with Slichot. And here is this story. So it happened that the Dubner Magid came to a shul and he was invited to come and be the speaker. He was actually invited and he was excited. I don't know how excited he gets to speak, but he was the speaker. However, the president of the shul had invited the person who we thought was the Dubner Magid. The Rav sent a message that ended up in the real Dubner Magid's hands. So in shul came two Dubner Magids, the real one and the imposter. And when the Rav says, we'd like to ask the Dubner Magid to come up and speak to the Kehillah, from both sides, two men walked up. They look at each other, and Dubner Magid says to them, who are you? He says, I'm the Dubner Magid. Who are you? He says, you're not the Dubner Magid. I am the Dubner Magid. So everyone was confused because nobody knew what the Dubner Magid looked like. So no one knew. So the Rav was stuck. One of them is clearly a liar. One of them is the famous Dubner Magid. Oh, we don't know which one is which. So what do we do? And they were stuck. So the Dubner Magid says, I'll tell you what. Let's have a contest. And what we're going to do, whoever wins in this contest is the real Dubner Magid. So what's the contest? The contest is open to any place in the Siddur and open to any place in the Chumash. And you have to create a mashal, a story to help you understand, based on whatever verse we point to in the page of the Siddur. We're going to open up the Siddur, point to a line, open up the Chumash, point to a line. The real Dubner Magid has to make a story about both of them and has to connect the stories together. That's a challenge, right? So we're opening up the Siddur, opening up the Chumash, and let's connect the stories. And the real Dubner Magid says to the other one, okay, you start. They open up the Chumash, the Siddur, and it came to Slichot. Slichot, the following words. The words were, Mi sha'ana la'Avram Avinu, Ba'ar Maria hu ya'anenu. Mi sha'ana liYitzchak, right? Shenakel al gab mizbech hu ya'anenu. Whoever answered Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov should answer us. Then they opened the Chumash, and in the Chumash they came to the words, Lo yavo Amoni u'Moavi b'kal Hashem. Someone who was a Moavi or a Moabite should not be allowed to join Judaism, shouldn't be allowed to join the Jewish people. Why? Shokidmu eschem b'lechem u'mayim. Because they didn't greet you with bread and water. So the real Dubner Magid says, okay, you have two verses. Take these two verses, combine them, and make a story about them. So the fake Dubner Magid couldn't do it. Two verses, remember. One verse from Slichot, whoever answers Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov should answer us. The second verse, the verse from the Chumash, we don't let an Ammoni Moavi join the Jewish people, because when the Jewish people left Egypt and they had to pass through Ammon and Moab, they didn't give you bread and water. Connect these two things, the Siddur of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, to Ammon and Moavi, and make a mashal out of it. The imposter couldn't do it. He didn't know what to do. Then it was time for the Dubner Magid. Listen carefully. The Dubna Maggid says, okay, we're going to explain both of these verses. The first verse, whoever listens to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, he should answer us. We have to start with a mashal. Here's the mashal. A person is a visitor to a town, and he passes a clothing store, and he sees a beautiful suit. He says, how much is the suit? The man says, it's $300. It's a lot of money. A lot of money. So then, he's not sure, should he buy it or not? He's waiting back. He's a visitor in the town. He doesn't know the price. But then another man comes in, asks for the same kind of suit, and the man says, how much? It's $300. The man says, I can't pay $300. Okay, you'll pay $100. $100. That's amazing. So when that man leaves, the visitor in the town says, okay, give me that suit, and I'd also like it for $100. He says, no, it's $300. Why should I give it to you for $100? But you just gave it to him for $100. He says, no, you're not him. You're not him. You know who he is? He's a regular customer. He comes all the time. He's making a wedding. I know his family buys from me all the time. I know they're gonna take good care of me. So I gave it to them for $100. But you, I don't know you. You're not even from here. So you'll pay full price, so don't buy it. Says the Dubna Maggid, that's question number one. How can we say, whoever listens to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, he should answer us, Avram and Yaakov, look what they did. They have credit by Hashem. Abraham, 100 years, willing to bring up a son, Yitzchak, Yaakov. But you, who are you? How can we daven to Hashem and say, if you answer them, answer us? You're not them. That's question number one, says the Dubna Maggid. Okay, story number two. He's going to connect all the stories. Okay, it was time for the wedding. And the families that were getting married, one family lived on one side of the river, and the other family lived on the other side of the river. And the family of the bride, it was time for her to go over to the groom's side so they can get married, and they had to cross the river. And this was the winter, so the river was all iced over. Well, the father of the bride, he says, go before me, go ahead of me. I'm going to come soon in my own horse and buggy, but you come a little bit before, go to the wedding, get prepared. So the mother and the bride are going across the ice when suddenly they hear a crack. And then another crack, and then suddenly the ice opens up. And the horse and the carriage fall in. And everything is in the water and it's sinking, and the water is freezing. And last minute they're able to grab the mother and the daughter out and pull them to safety. Someone comes running to the father who hadn't left yet to the wedding, and says to this father, something terrible happened. You don't know, but your wife and the bride, your daughter, they were going across the ice. Yes. And the ice cracked. And what happened? And the carriage fell in. Yes. And the horses gone, lost. Yes. And the presents all gone. All the presents under the water. No one's ever going to get them. Yes. Yes. Tell me about my wife. Oh, they're okay. The father says, what are you doing to me? Give me a heart attack. Oh, I care about my wife. I don't care about horses. Okay, the horses drowned. The carriage with the presents. Start off by saying, look, your wife is okay, your daughter's okay. And then say, okay, but look, you lost the carriage and the presents. You got to make them up. Says the Dubna Maggid, question number 2. Why is it that we say we can't join Ammon and Moab because they didn't give bread and water? It should have said a much greater reason why Ammon and Moab shouldn't join you. You know why? What did the king of Moab try to do? He tried to hire Bilam to destroy the Jewish people, to curse them, to kill them. The fact that he wasn't hospitable is nothing compared to the fact that he wanted us dead. So the Torah afterwards says that. But why doesn't it start with that? It should start by saying, first of all, they shouldn't join you because they wanted you dead. And besides the point, they don't have they don't have a Jewish taste to them because they won't give you bread and water. But instead, it starts with no bread, no water, and then, oh, by the way, they also try to kill you. That's question number 2. By now, the congregation's like, wow. He just took 2 verses. He made a story that connected both of them. And he asked 2 good questions. But now we need to have 2 good answers. He continues, the Dubner Maggid, the real one. And he says, okay, the marriage went off without a hitch. And the young man who got married, the Chatan, he was a big Torah scholar. He was a big Talmud Chacham. And the father had agreed. The father-in-law had agreed, I'm going to support you. You want to learn? As long as you want to learn, you're a big Talmud Chacham, I'll support you. But after a little while, his wife said, I don't want a guy who's learning. Not so happy. The father-in-law says, I'm not going to help. I don't want to help so much. But he promised he's going to help. And one of the things he did was he gave him food. So what he started doing was, he started giving him less and less food. He used to give him meat, give him chicken, fish, then just bread and cereal, bare bones. The food decreased. But this Chatan, he continued to study Torah. He didn't stop. He didn't leave. I'm studying. And the father was getting so anxious. Like, I don't want him studying. My daughter's miserable. Let him go get a job. So finally, this father-in-law says, I know what I have to do. And there happened to be a woman in the town who was a machshefa. She was like a witch. She had the power of curses. So he goes to this machshefa and says to the machshefa, listen, my son-in-law, I'm starving him and he's still learning. Let's just kill the kid, kill the guy. Give him a curse. Let's be through with him. That's it. Gave a lot of money to the machshefa. The day was going to come and this machshefa is going to kill the son-in-law. But the son-in-law finds out about it. He finds out that this was the plan. And he takes his father-in-law to the Rav of the city. And the father-in-law says, and he says to the Rav of the city, look what he's doing to me. He's not giving me food. He says, is it true he's not giving you food? He says, I can't. Says the father, I can't give him food. I became poor. I don't have money. I can't. I wanted to. At the beginning, I gave him meat. But now I'm a poor man. I don't have that much money. I can't give him so much meat. Then the Rav says, you're a liar. You do have money. You know how? Because you took that money and you gave it to the machshefa to kill him. You said you didn't have money, but I proved to you that you did. Says the Dubner Maggid, that's what the Torah is doing. When the Torah says that Ammon and Moab cannot join you because they didn't greet you with lechem umayim, with bread and water, what's the Torah saying? The Torah is saying, no, they're going to say, well, I didn't have money. I didn't greet you with bread because I was poor. Yeah, but you had enough money to pay Bilam to curse the Jews, right? You did have enough money for him. And that's why the Torah begins with that. How to answer this, the very first question that we started with, that why do we say whoever answered Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov should answer us? We're not them. On that, the Dubner Maggid continues the story. And the story continues where this young man ended up becoming the rabbi of the city himself. And he was very beloved. And he taught Torah. And he helped people. And he was a beloved figure in the community. And he had a son. And when he got old, and when he was on his deathbed, the people of the Kehillah, they came to the Rav and they said, Rav, you're dying. What would you like? He says, this is my request. My request is when I pass away, you make my son the next rabbi of the community. And he passed away. The community calls the son in and says to the son, your father said he wants you to be the Rav. Okay, we're going to make you the Rav. If you know a lot of Torah. If you're a good leader. If. Says the son, that's not what my father meant. My father meant you should make me the Rav as I am. Trust my father. But if I am so good and I know so much Torah, so then you don't even need my father. You would just make me the Rav because I'm so learned. My father is saying, make me the Rav no matter what. And that's what you agreed to do. Otherwise, you're making me earn it on my own merit. Says Hashem, I love Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and I'm going to watch over their children. But we did Averot. So Hashem says, maybe you didn't choose. So we say, no. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, you did choose. And you said you're going to watch the children. If Hashem says, yeah, if the children are good. So we say back to Hashem, well, if that's the case, then we didn't need Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. We were just good ourselves. The whole point is, even when we're not so good, even when we've done Averot, you still accept us as your children. Thus, the real Dubner Magid took a random line in the Siddur, a random line in the Chumash, asked questions and answers, and made one long story. And you could be sure that the community knew who was the real Dubner Magid and who wasn't. We will continue. When you come to a speech, when you come to a lecture, a shiur, you want to get something out of it, but sometimes you get something different than you expected. That's how it works. You never know, because if you would know, then you would just turn on Torah anytime. You wouldn't have to see it live, right? It's going to be something new. But sometimes it's even better, but it's different. And there's a mashal for that as well. There was a person whose father was very wealthy. And before he passed away, he said, you know what I need to do? I need to hide my wealth so that nobody should find it. He took his bags of gold and he began to hide them all over the house. And then suddenly he passed away without telling his son where he hid the gold. Well, the son was very poor and he lost most of it, didn't have a lot of money. And he didn't know about his father's wealth. He didn't know where it was. And one day he was down to his very last few coins. Last few coins. One of the coins slips out of his hand and rolls between the boards and the floor. I can't reach there. It's one of my last coins. He takes the back of the hammer, pulls up the board to find the coin, and you know what he finds? A bag of gold. A whole bag of gold. And then he looks around, more, another bag of gold, another. Soon he finds many bags of gold. But you know what he never found? He never found that original coin. But that's okay. He came for the coin, but he got a bunch of bags of gold. So I'm hoping to give you some bags of gold. So let's speak about Rosh Hashanah itself. We'll start with a mashal for the. He says like this. There's a cruise ship. Cruise ship that goes from island to island, stop at the island, everyone gets off, they take their selfies, they buy trinkets, and then a few hours later, they go back on the cruise ship and they go to the next island. What a nice vacation, right? Well, the cruise ship stopped at a really beautiful island, and as it stops, everyone debarks and deboards, and the cruise ship says, okay, in 4 hours, everyone has to be back because we're going to leave on time. After 3 hours, a group of people said, okay, we bought what we're going to buy. We found the Starbucks on the island. That's okay. We did what we need to do. Now, we're on our way back. And they go back to the ship, plenty of time. They sit down, they relax, they take off their shoes, get a pina colada, they're good. Then there are some people who they're still busy buying things. And then they hear an announcement, over the loudspeaker from the cruise ship onto the island. You can hear it. 20 minutes to go. The ship leaves in 20 minutes. Oh no, 20 minutes? Let's get to the ship. And they go running to the ship, get to the ship, okay, settle in, relax, okay, put stuff in the overhead compartment. We're good. We got it. Take our shoes off. We're good. Final call. Some people, they didn't go. They're waiting online. They waited so long. They want to buy what they want to buy. Okay, final call. They drop it. They go running to the ship. They make it on time. The ship begins to leave. Some people, they come running And as they're running, they jump onto the gangplank and they get onto the ship. And some of them tripping and they're falling, but at least they made it. Some people, the ship had already pulled up the gangplank. And they had to jump into the water to swim. The captain sees them, throws the little life vests down, pulls them back up. Some people were so busy buying things on the island that by the time they got to the shore, the ship, the cruise ship, was a speck of dust in the distance. It was gone. They were left on the island. The Menorah Samor says that that is where we are now. Those who look at Elul as the call to begin to get back on the ship, to begin to figure out what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right, and to work on it, by the time Rosh Hashanah comes, they're in like Flynn. It's easy. They can go and they're prepared and they know exactly what they did right, exactly what they did wrong, exactly what they want to work on. They've looked at the davening, they looked at the tefillah before, they're familiar, they are ready and prepared. But some people, it's not slichot, it's not the shofar. They're like, okay, I'm going, but I'm going through the motions. But then the week before, okay, this is serious. They come running onto the ship, still some time, week before Rosh Hashanah. Let's get our act together. And then there's some, they walk into shul, Yom Tov night. They're not prepared. They didn't work on anything at all. But they know it's Rosh Hashanah. They try to get into it. They get into it. It takes them a while, but eventually they get into it. It's Rosh Hashanah. And some people, they miss out on Rosh Hashanah. But Aser Shemei Teshuvah. And some people last minute, they're swimming in the water. That's Yom Kippur. They just managed to go on a life raft. That's all. That's what they need. Because they are not prepared to come close to Hashem. Their relationship with Hashem is not happening. But at least Yom Kippur, finally, they're where they need to be. They're finally centered. It took all of that. It took 40 days. But on the last possible day. And then there's some people who by the time they come to their senses, Yom Kippur is long gone. The Psak, the Sefer HaChaim V'Amaves is already written. And we can't do anything about it. Says the Menorah Samar, let's prepare now. Okay, next idea. Tefillot are very hard. It's very hard to pray. My students tell me, what's the hardest thing to do in Judaism? My students are not religious. They're becoming religious. It's called kiruv. So, what's the hardest thing? Kosher? I said, no, kosher's easy. Live in Great Neck, kosher restaurants, go to Flatbush. The truth of the matter is, anywhere in America or North America, it's easy. It is easy. Look for an O-U-O-K, Chav K, Star K. Okay, a restaurant to live in a Jewish city. Not hard. You know how many kosher products exist on the market today? About 400,000. You know how many products the average person eats in a lifetime? About 10,000. So there's more than enough kosher food. If you really want, it exists. Shabbat? Rabbi, is Shabbat hard? No, not really. It's not really hard. If you're prepared for it, and you're in a sevivah, you're in an environment that makes Shabbat fun and wonderful and authentic. So Shabbat's the greatest joy. Okay, you got to turn off your phone. That's the gateway drug for Chilul Shabbat. So you turn off your phone, you be a strong person. You know, today there's a person named Ariana Huffington. I don't know if you heard about it. She writes Huffington Post, HuffPost. She's not very pro-Israel at all, and certainly not Jewish. And just this week, she said, you know what? We should all be doing an electric Shabbat, a Shabbat from electricity. And she says the kind of Shabbat that religious Jews do. It's healthy. Ariana Huffington, right? You have Jews who can't put away, but Ariana Huffington, she says, okay, you gotta put away your phone. Even she gets it. Okay, so Shabbat, not so hard. You know what's hard? Tefillah. Tefillah is hard. You know why? Because it's in a foreign language. It's not your own words. You may not know what the words mean, and it's really hard to read in the art school, Hebrew, English, like, to find where it's up to. It's hard, and it's long. And especially Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, it's very long. So I can't do it. I'm not feeling it. So I want to tell you a story for that. There was a man who used to sell bagels. And this bagel salesman had a son, and the son used to help him. And one day he says to the son, I have to run back home. Please watch my bagel stand. The son says, no problem, I'll watch the bagel stand. He's watching it. When a bunch of hoodlums, a bunch of gangsters, they come, they see this kid watching the bagels. They go and they knock over the cart, and they began to grab bagels. They're putting the bagels in their pocket. They're putting the bagels in their shirts. We're going to grab all the bagels. And this kid, he's on the ground, he's crying. Ah. So a stranger who's passing by says, and saw the whole thing, says, kid, look, instead of just crying on the floor, grab a few bagels. Look, they're going to take all your bagels. If they're going to take all your bagels, you may as well get a few bagels for yourself. That's story number 2. Yeah, the Satan is going to grab your tefillot, no kavanah here, no kavanah there, but grab a few bagels for yourself. Say, I'm going to do, every time in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, I say, Hashem, Hashem, Yogimel Midot, I'm going to have kavanah. Hashem, Hashem, Kirachman, that's my thing. My thing is Hashem, Hashem. My thing is the first bracha of Shemona Esrei. Grab your bagels. No one's going to have every bagel. Unless you're one of the Gedolim, it's very hard. But grab a few. If the Satan's going to grab a few, then you should grab a few. Nachon? Next. So, coming close towards Rosh Hashanah, we do what's called simanim. We eat the head of a fish or the head of a lamb. We eat pomegranates. We dip the apple into the honey. So what are we doing here? What are these simanim? So I want to tell you 2 things about them. These are simanim, signs. I should have a sweet year. I ate a sweet apple, give me a sweet year. I'm doing all the simanim. Not only that, maybe I went to Kivrei Avot. Maybe I went to pray by my forefathers. I did something. I wanted the simanim. So here's the story. There was a man and a wife that go on vacation. And as they're driving away, the wife turns to the husband and says, did you set the alarm in the house? Yes, I did. I set the code. I set it. Great. What about, did you close the windows? Close the windows. Excellent. Did you do the lights? They have lights on timers, so it goes off and on. Did you do the lights? Yeah, I did the lights. Did everything. Great. They enjoy their vacation. 10 days later, they come back to their house. Nothing left. Thieves had come and stolen everything. Every lamp fixture, every piece of art, every piece of silver. Nothing. Electronics, all gone. So the wife and the husband are feeling very violated. And the wife says, did you do what you were supposed to? Did you set the alarm? Yes. Did you do the lights? Yes. The windows? Yes. Did you close the front door? No, I forgot. You set the alarm, but you left the front door open? Says Hashem. I like simanim. They're excellent. They're like the lights off and on. But you know what the front door is? That's the teshuvah. You could do every siman that you want. You could dip apples into honeys as much as you want. But without teshuvah, the door is open. You got to first do the basics. And then the simanim help. But there's a second concept of the simanim that I like very much. I'll share it with you. A siman, a sign, is our way of saying a tefillah. I'm saying, Hashem, I want to have a sweet year. And I know that sweetness comes from you. So when I say, Shana Tova Metuga, I'm not saying, well, the apple is sweet and honey is sweet, so I have a sweet year. Well, what's the science behind that? The answer is it's a tefillah. It's me saying, Hashem, I know that from you emanate sweetness. So give me the sweetness. I know that you're the one who can look at my zchuyot and give me zchuyot for all the things I've done. Please, you're the makor al-bracha. So simanim are tefillah. It's very important to understand this. And I'll tell you why. You don't have to wait for Rosh Hashanah for simanim. As a matter of fact, in my house, we dip our challah in the honey every week. First of all, we like honey. It's very healthy. But the real reason is, in the same way we dip the challah and the apple in the honey for Rosh Hashanah to have a sweet new year, we do it to have a sweet new week. It's also a new week. It's the same concept of tefillah. Everything that we do is connected to tefillah. You know that. Throughout our lives, when we hold something in our right hand, we'll make a bracha. Why? Because right is what? Mercy. So it's a tefillah. The tefillah is, Hashem, you're the one who has mercy. Please have mercy on my endeavors and allow me to have success. That's the right hand. It's mercy. It's a tefillah. It's not magic. It's a tefillah. Everything that I do is a tefillah. I'll tell you, when sometimes I get interesting things at auction, like I got the Baba Sali's thing. I get them at auction. I know where to look. So I once bought something, and my wife saw I bought it. She's like, I don't get it. I said, no, you're not going to get it. She said, no, explain to me. Why did you get this? She wanted to know. So what was it? That was confusing her. I bought at auction hair clippers. Well, you can get hair clippers in Walmart, right? But I bought one at auction, but it was a unique hair clippers because it was the hair clippers from Auschwitz. And it was the hair clippers that were used on our brothers and our sisters before they were gassed so that their hair could be used to stuff the mattresses of the Germans. So she said, so why did you get it? What was the point? I said, I'll tell you what I had in mind. I said, when I got it, it was around the time of the 3 weeks. And during the 3 weeks, it's a very sad time. And we don't listen to music. And we don't shave. It's a time of mourning. Beit HaMikdash is destroyed. But at the end of the 3 weeks, so then it's over. Tisha B'Av is over. And I can listen to music now. And I can shave. And I'll be honest with you. For many years now, I used to have a beard. I was a rabbi in Borough Park. I had a beard. Then I went to Kiruv, shaved it. Now my wife likes it off. So do I, right? So it's off. So those 3 weeks when I have to grow it are uncomfortable. You women, you don't know this, but if you have a big beard, that's okay. But if you don't normally have a beard and then you grow a beard, it's very uncomfortable. So to me, it's like a genuine relief to be able to shave it off. But why am I so happy? The Beit HaMikdash is still not built. We still have sinat chinam. We still hate each other. We still haven't done tshuva. So here I am happily shaving off my beard and happily listening to music as if everything is okay, but nothing is okay. So I bought these clippers. And these clippers are a tefillah. And the tefillah is, the words are, Uv'chol zot, Shimcha lo shachachnu, na'al tishkachenu. Hashem, look at what we went through. Look at how many Jews were killed in the Holocaust. It wasn't 6 million, by the way. The more accurate number is about 8 million. That's the revised number. About 8 million Jews. About 2 million children. 2 million. Gassed, burnt, beaten, starved, suffocated. And with all that, your name we never forgot. We didn't give up hope. We didn't say, oh no, forget it. No. We're still Jewish. We're still coming on a Sunday night when other people are elsewhere. We are here. We're listening to Torah. This is important to us. No, al tishkachenu. Please don't forget us. Just like we don't forget you, don't forget us. So my clippers are a tefillah, when I take the first clip using these clippers to say, yes, I am cutting it, but it's not that I'm b'simcha, but I'm asking you to please remember us. No, please don't forget us. No, al tishkachenu. That's a tefillah. Let's keep going, shall we? Shofar. Oh my goodness. There's so much to be said about the shofar. Let me start like this. If you listen to the shofar, it is a huge kapara for different things, especially if we fell short on things like mitzvot aseh, like Zman Kriya Shema. If we didn't say Kriya Shema in the right time, so listen to the shofar could be somewhat of a kapara. Okay. But the truth of the matter is, listening to a shofar, what does that do? If you have a good shofar blower, it's very important in shul to have somebody who knows how to give tikiyot. You should shudder, you should shake. What's going on? It's penetrating my soul. But what is it exactly? Is it the sound of the shofar? So here's a very beautiful story. There was a villager, and the villager came to a big town. This is a few hundred years ago. Came to a big town, and he's visiting a friend, and all of a sudden a fire breaks out in the town. Well, in that town, they had a way of dealing with the fire. People would take out bugles. They would take out a bugle, and then one person would blow, and then the next person, and soon there were bugles all over, and soon people came with pails of water, and they put out the fire. Well, this villager was really impressed. So he came back to his little village, and he said, I know what we need to do. We have a great way of putting out fires. Every once in a while there's a fire. You know how we're going to put out a fire? We'll blow bugles. Bugles will put out fires. So they bought everyone a bugle. And then a few months later, there's a big fire in the town. Big fire, okay? So everyone takes out their bugles. And the town burns down. He says, I don't understand. I blew the bugle. Why did the town burn down? They went back to the big city, and they said, you fool. It's not the bugle that puts out the fire. The bugle just alerts everybody that there's a fire for them to act by filling up the pails of water and putting it out. The bugle alone does nothing. That's the shofar. The shofar alone is a beautiful sound. It's certainly effective, and it's a mitzvah to listen. The Shema Kol Shofar is a mitzvah. But it's not the shofar, but it's what the shofar is supposed to make us do, what it's supposed to make us become. So if we just blow the shofar, and unfortunately, I've been out of town. I'm going to be in Minneapolis this coming Rosh Hashanah. I was in Philadelphia last Rosh Hashanah. I go around, I see what's going on. There are people who go to a shul, they hear the shofar, and then they get in their car and drive away. Ma pitom. What are you thinking? It's not the shofar, it's the action. The shofar is supposed to wake us up. Uri yishena mishinaschem. Wake up, sleepy ones, from your slumber. It's the shofar waking us up, but it's not the sound. Make sense? Here's another concept behind shofar with a story as well. There was a king, and the king had a son, and the king believed in training in the son using a very harsh method. Sending him away from the palace, away from the riches. Let the son learn how to navigate the world. He'll learn compassion. He'll learn how to take care of people. He'll learn the way of the world, and then he'll come back. He'll be a good ruler. And he sent the son away, and the son went away for many years. And at the beginning, the son did okay, but after a while, the son faltered, and he wasn't doing so well. And he became very poor and very depressed. And eventually, the son says, I got to go back to my father. But this was years. He went when he was a young boy, and he's older now. He comes to the gates of the palace. The guard doesn't recognize him. And he no longer speaks the language of his father. He's been out in exile too long. They spoke a different language. He doesn't remember the language. He was so young then. Doesn't know what to do. How is he going to tell his father, it's me, let me in, take care of me, hold me, protect me? And he begins to cry. He cries and cries. And the king from the palace hears the cry and comes and recognizes his son, scoops him up in his arms, embraces him, and brings him into the palace. It could be that we have forgotten the language that Hashem needs to hear to connect. There are ways to connect to Hashem, but unfortunately, it's not Twitter, and it's not Instagram, and it's not social media, and it's none of the above. It's Kedusha, it's holy to the extreme. And some of us, most of us, all of us, we don't know that language. But what's the language that we do know? We know the language of the cry. When Hashem hears the cry, that cry of the shofar, my kinderlach, my children, come back to me. You're my children. It's the cry of the shofar. That's the power. Now, what about us? We're inspired. We're here. It's a Sunday night. We're here and we want to learn Torah. But where's everyone else from Great Neck? Where's everyone from Flatbush? Where did you get people from all over? Where are they? And the answer is some people are very inspired on the inside. When there's a chance to learn Torah, there's a shiur. I don't care what's going on. I don't know what movie, what game is on. Torah. So you are the inspired ones. You're here. It's upon us who are the inspired ones to spread that inspiration. Now we may think, who am I? I can't spread inspiration. I'm not a magid, not a rabbi. How can I do it? So I want to tell you a beautiful story. The Chafetz Chaim, the great Chafetz Chaim, he spoke at the Agudah convention. And when he spoke, he said, it's upon everyone. It's everyone's job to do outreach. And outreach doesn't have to mean, knocking on doors. But outreach means reaching out to the next person. Say, there's a shiur. I'm going, you go. Come. Oh, but come. Who knows? If you hear one thing in one moment that can make your Rosh Hashanah better, is that not a worthy investment? Right? 1 hour to hear one thing? Can you imagine? So, the Chafetz Chaim says, we all have the ability to do this. So when the Chafetz Chaim walked down from the podium after telling this to everyone should do this, people began to say to themselves, it didn't mean me. Didn't mean me. He meant the professionals. The professionals, the Kiruv profession, they're the ones that should do it, but not me. I can't reach out. The Chafetz Chaim heard this. He was very bothered. And the Chafetz Chaim did something that nobody thought he would do. He said, I'd like to speak a second time. Now the Chafetz Chaim was the Zaken Shebechachamim. He was the oldest, and when he says, I want to speak a second time, you let him speak a second time. He gets up and he says, I hear a rumor that you didn't quite understand my message. So I'm going to tell you a little story. You know the story? Beautiful, beautiful story. He says, there was a person from the big city who came to a village once in Europe, and he was hosted by a poor family, and they gave him water to drink, and he picked up the water, and the water was full of little objects. Now today, we're very spoiled. People say, I wouldn't drink tap water. I wouldn't tap water. Oh my goodness. Do you realize how clean tap water is compared to the water that people lived on? People get very, very sick constantly. They would take water. They didn't understand the bacteria in the water. The little ant was awful. So this rich man sees these things. He says, "Where is this the water in the town?" Yeah, everyone drinks this water. So the rich man says, okay, I got to do something about this. So he says, I'm going to donate to the town the most sophisticated water purifying system. And this is, more than 100 years ago. The system wasn't that good, but it was a large system. It wasn't like a little system that you have in your sink. Very large system. And He built it as a present to the townspeople. And they were very grateful. The stranger comes and he builds a water purifying system. What a matana. The day came. I was ready to unveil it to the public. There's a nice ribbon around it. There was the mayor there, and this rich man was there, and they said, thank you, the mayor says. Thank you for giving our community this delicious clean water. Let's turn on the filter. And they turned on the filter. A lot of water came in, and then the gears began to turn on the sifting mechanisms. And finally, at the other end, drip, drip, drip. The cleanest, purest water that you can imagine. Amazing, right? They were so grateful. Look, it was slow, but look at the water that they're getting. It was amazing. So the rich man says, goodbye, thank you, I hope you enjoy this. He comes back less than a year later to this village, and the whole village is burnt down. Nothing's left. The whole thing is destroyed. What happened to the village? They said, well, we had a big fire, huge, and we had to have water. So, we wanted to make sure it was pure water. So we just drip, drip, drip. And, by the time we filled up one cup, like the fire had burnt down a house and whatever, it was just too slow. He says, you fools, you. He says, do you think that to put out a fire you need pure water? When a fire is raging, any water will be sufficient. Even dirty water, even if it's not the cleanest water. Says the Chafetz Chaim, the fire of apathy, the fire of assimilation, intermarriage, people leaving Judaism, it's raging, it's burning. You don't have to have the purest water to put out that fire. Just go do your job. Just go. You don't have to be a tzaddik. Just be you. Be you. Your water is good enough to put out the fire. So we can inspire people this coming Rosh Hashanah. Then I give you my last story. We struggle. And here's the struggle. On one hand, we want to grow. We want to be better in all aspects. We want to stop speaking Lashon Hara. We want to daven better. We want to be more honest in our business. The problem is, we've done so many things that we're not proud of. And we haven't done teshuvah for them yet. What am I supposed to do? You hear the problem? I haven't done teshuvah yet. So the Baal Shem Tov tells this beautiful story. He says, there was a man who lived in a small village. Everyone was very poor. And he wanted to buy himself some beautiful boots. He always dreamt of boots that nobody owns in his entire village. The nicest boots. And he worked for an entire year. And at the end of the year, he had enough money. And he makes a trip to the big city. And he goes to the shoemaker and he says, show me your finest pair of boots. The shoemaker looks the guy up and down and says, you can't afford my finest boots. Takes out a big bag of gold coins. Show me your finest boots. Okay. I will show you my finest boots. He goes out and takes the most amazing pair of boots. Made so beautifully, the craftsmanship, the heel would last forever. Just the most beautiful boots you've ever laid eyes on. The man tries it on, very perfect fit. And he buys it on the spot. A year's wage to buy the perfect boots. He is so excited to go and show off his boots to his village. He is going to be the star of the village in his new boots. He's so excited that he decides he's going to take a shortcut, because he wants to get back to his village. And he takes a shortcut through a field, big field. And as he's walking, he hears a squishing, sloshing sound. You see, it had rained for a few days before, and the field was very muddy. And as he's walking in his new boots had become dirty, full of mud. He felt terrible. He picks up his right boot, takes his walking stick, and meticulously cleans off all of the mud from his right boot. Then he picks up his left boot and he cleans off all the mud from his left boot. But then he looks down on the right boot. Oh no, it's muddy again. So he picks up the right boot and cleans it off. But now his left boot was muddy. Right, left, right, left. He's just standing in one place, cleaning it, it's getting dirty. And the guy who owns the field, he's looking through the window and he's laughing uproariously. This is the funniest thing. This guy is such a fool. And finally, he has a little rachmanut. He screams out to the guy and he says, "Fella, don't worry about the mud on your boots now. Just get out of the field. Leave the field. There'll be plenty of time to clean off the mud later. For right now, just walk straight. Make some progress. The time will come, you'll be able to clean off your boots." Says the Baal Shem Tov. We've done what we've done. It's part of our history. And if we don't make progress until our history is clean, we're never going to make progress. We'll just be in one place cleaning off our boots. Says the Baal Shem Tov, we have permission to march forward with the mud on our boots. We can march forward. And even though we've done averot and we're a little bit hypocritical and we're a little bit disingenuous and we've said one thing, echad b'peh, echad b'alev, it hasn't been so great, but still, that's the only way we can get out of the field. So even if before Rosh Hashanah we haven't really been into it, on Rosh Hashanah, just make progress. Mikan v'hala. From now on, it's going to be amazing. From now on, I'm going to change myself. I'm going to change the world from now on. Yeah, but look what you did. There'll be time. I'll be in a good place. When I'm in that good place, I'll then go back to my boots and I'll make them nice and shiny. So that's where we are in Elul. Make progress. Remember, the sound of the shofar is a call to action. Make sure to close that front door. Don't just go through the simanim, but make sure to do the teshuvah. And don't forget, each of the simanim, they are tefillot. When you do a siman, it's a tefillah. You're davening to Hashem. You're saying, Hashem, you're the Baal Yicholos, Baal Kochas Kulam. You're the one who can change my life. And whatever you do, don't impersonate the Dubna Magid, because you'll get caught. Thank you very much.